So prolonging fertility is about, we use Chinese medicine words, replenishing your qi.
Okay.
And qi is all about where's your nutrient load, where's your oxidative stress, do you have enough antioxidants in your body, in your system, so every cell is brimming with energy, right, and vitality, versus like, you know, being under stress and having to fight. You know, where is inflammation and what do we need to do about that? So preserving fertility is a sign of good energy, right? So preserving fertility is a lot about nutrient replacement, gut health, you know, gut rehab work, reduction of inflammation, and really improving your antioxidant load so you can release good quality eggs. That's what preserving fertility is about. Now, there's a literature, you know, there's all this literature in older systems of medicine around herbs that support fertility. So there's something called Shethvari, which is an herb in Ayurveda that's supposed to improve fertility. But when you look and dig into it, it's actually from asparagus, a particular type of asparagus, and that particular type of asparagus increases or releases glutathione. And glutathione is an antioxidant that actually helps egg quality. So it like totally makes sense now that we know like the science behind it. So there are some things you can take to help fertility as well. But I think like day to day, moment to moment, you know, being vigilant about your sleep and your stress and, you know, your food quality and your nutrient intake, to me, that's a big part of fertility right there.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So another friend was asking about, there's a lot of products on the market that claim by changing gut health, you can improve your hormones. Like what, you know?
So they're not wrong. Okay. There is a gut hormone connection. I write about it in the Hormone Shift. It's actually straight from the older systems of medicine. The science behind that connection is around the microbiome. We know that the microbiome shifts and changes with hormone shifts and vice versa. One of the big shifts that we see, you know, kind of again to generalize, is a shift towards candida or an overgrowth of yeast, which then makes somebody like me more androgenic. So then I produce more androgens, that's more acne, more hair loss. When we think about it that way, we know these claims are partially right, not knowing what the products are. So if there is something that minimizes yeast in the gut, it is going to indirectly help the hormones, right? There's also something called the estrobolome, which is the microbiome of your gut that determines what your body's going to do with estrogen. So yes, there is some validity to that. And then the third part of this actually is there's this whole concept around fat malabsorption, where the pancreas kind of gets, you know, boggy and sluggish, doesn't produce the enzymes we need to break foods down. So we start to spill fat or lose fat, which then results in hormone depletion. So these three kind of gut ideas are tied directly to hormones. So if a product is latching onto one of those and it can show it's effective, then absolutely yes, it's probably doing something. But we don't want to say, you know, we want to be specific when we're making those claims, right? We don't want to just randomly say, okay, this is a gut product, so it's going to help your hormones. But it kind of has to match one of those patterns.
Yeah, got it. So this might be controversial and you could choose not to talk about it, but my friend specifically asked about it. So
okay.
What are your thoughts on this huge Ozempic GLP-1 craze? Because obviously there's a whole, you know, cast of women that are gaining weight and don't know what to do about it. So they're just taking the quick fix. But I've seen devastating, people like dying and stuff. So
GLP-1. So we prescribe them in practice, but here's who we think is the right candidate.
Perfect.
The right candidate is somebody that has a BMI over about 30 or so, has a high leptin level. Leptin is a hormone that regulates our hunger and how full we are. We actually test that hormone too in practice. But a leptin of over about 20, 25 or so, those people are truly struggling. Like if you think of that profile, like they have a high BMI, they have the super high leptin level. Many of those that patient profile, they actually had PCOS all the way through undiagnosed. So they already have this issue with high blood sugar and high insulin. So when you're kind of there, insulin resistance is really hard. It's hard to move that needle. It's hard to turn that around. People get really frustrated. So when we're prescribing a GLP-1 like Ozempic or Moderna or any of these medications to them, here's the strategy. Let's get a healthy gut first. Let's reduce the inflammation in your body that's not associated with weight. So let's really learn what healthy eating looks like, what interval eating looks like. Let's replace the nutrients that you're missing as well. And then let's just start to move the body. And once we can kind of accomplish these couple of things, right, then you're ready to take a GLP-1, but with support. And that support is using digestive enzymes, starting something called glutamine that rebuilds the gut lining, because we know the GLP-1s hit the gut. But when we start a GLP-1, it's for a limited amount of time. I really don't like the whole you're on this forever, you're married to this medication. I don't think that's ever good with anything, honestly.
Great for the pharmaceutical sales
great
rep.
for the industry,
Spiel,
but
yeah.
not so great for the patient. So the question is, like, we're titrating people up and then we're titrating them back down, because we hope that with all the front work we did and what they've learned in that process, that as they come off of it, then, and we take them off in a very gentle way. They may just do it once a month. They may do it once every 2 months. You know what I mean? But what we hope is that we've gotten their metabolic set point to a different place so that now they can take over. Mm-hmm. So that's that patient profile. But meanwhile, there is everybody else, right? Who has 5 pounds to lose, or has 10 pounds to lose, or maybe even has 15 pounds to lose. I am not a fan of using it in those scenarios. I would rather we work hard on the microbiome. I'd rather we work hard on hormone balancing, really try to understand how we need to change and adapt what we're doing. But none of those things are a quick fix. So people really want that quick fix. And that's where I bet you're seeing the devastating consequences, because those patients should not be on this medication. Mm-hmm. There is a compounded version of the medication, which is at a quarter of the dose. But I've even seen side effects from that, Mm-hmm. And so I think we have to be careful when we're making these decisions. And I know how tempting it is, because everyone around you is getting skinny and you're trying to do it this other way. But at the end of the day, what is the long term? I think we need to think short term, long term. Are you wanting a short term gain, or do you want a long term gain? Mm-hmm. And one of the things we understand about metabolism, period, is no matter which option you choose. I had a patient the other day that chose phentermine. She got prescribed phentermine, which is the old, it's a new version of fen-phen.
Oh my gosh.
But like without the devastating side effects. But we were using it a lot, like 15 years ago, on patients trying to lose weight. But it's an appetite suppressant, mm-hmm. right? Stimulant, appetite suppressant, almost like a Vyvanse or ADHD type medication. So she lost a bunch of weight on it, lost 25 pounds. It got her out of that insulin resistant stuck point. But now what? Because one of the things we understand about metabolic adaptation is that, as you calorie restrict, you just continue to drop your metabolic set point lower and lower. So yes, you lose weight in the short run, but what about the long run? Mm-hmm. And that's why people are dealing with the bounce back. So it's almost like the slower you go, the better, because you teach the body, like, this is the way, to be. And then there's not this dramatic rebound on the other end of it. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah. And the body is so intelligent. It's like you're giving it the framework to remember its natural function.
Yeah.
But if you swing too big, it's just confusing, and then it's going to swing just out of survival of the evolution of species,
right?
So it's going to overcompensate. So it's just the way you practice is so the future of
I hope
health. It's like it has to be, It's like,
that's my
use the
mission,
the best that Western medicine has to offer, and science and.
Yeah, this is
innovation,
not a rejection. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like not a rejection. We're not rejecting anything. We're not rejecting Western medicine. We're just saying, can we think about this a little bit more? Can we have more personalization to this? And can we try these other things first? Because they do work. Mm-hmm. But I think if we're going to stay in this Western mentality of, I have this, therefore I take this. I have this, therefore I take this, then whether you're healthy or sick, you're going to end up on 15 medications and, constantly trying to manage all these different things.
Thank you for listening to the Heal with Kelly podcast. Be sure to tune in every Thursday for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. And make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. Oh, and if you found this episode inspiring, please rate, review, and share Heal with Kelly so that we can grow our audience and reach more people. We truly appreciate it. Lots of love.